Hello, good evening, good day to you, whoever you're hearing this video from. Hope you're having a pleasant weekend, even though it's about to start the work week. It's going to be a really nice work week coming up. But anyway, I want to finish up this series on the Cincinnati incident, and I'm going to show you the latest video, what has this brawl in Cincinnati has started. But I'm going to give it from the black, mostly going to be black people speaking on it and what they disapprove of it, and it'll be fair and balanced on it, and see what they take on it. And let's start with these women.
Massive brawl in Cincinnati. Ladies, I want to ask you, I'm just going to ask you a tough question. I'm going to ask you an honest question. Many of the videos that we see like this are black folk. Black folk acting a fool. Violent, constantly. And I want to ask you, is this a black thing? Something's wrong with us. Something's wrong with us, particularly since the 1960s. Something has gone wrong with black people in when I did a quick search, every newspaper or article that came up, not one of them mentioned that most of the people that I saw who were assaulting were black. Most of them. They didn't mention that they called it a fight or a violent fight or a group of people fight. They never even broached the race subject. But had it been reversed, that's all we will be hearing on the 24/7 news cycle.
Context, but what I saw is a mob of lawless thugs beating up on an innocent person, and it's disgusting. And I hope every single one of those people who engage in violence is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And they will be. They will be so long as law enforcement in the state of Ohio takes their job seriously. I know Dave Yost cares a lot about these things. But yeah, I actually, you're right. Bernie did send me a clip of this, and we talked a little bit about it. I don't know the full context. I don't know how the fight started. But the one part that I saw that was really gruesome is you had a grown man who sucker punched a middle-aged woman. And where I come from, at least, when you have a grown man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time. And frankly, he's lucky there weren't some better people around, because they would have handled it themselves. But if they're not going to handle it, the cops in Cincinnati, the law enforcement, you've got to prosecute people. We've had way too much lawlessness on the streets of great American cities.
I mean, the sad part about this is these types of attacks are no longer shocking. They're becoming commonplace in these cities. I mean, we opened up the show today. It wasn't planned, but breaking news. There was a mass shooting in New York City. What's going on, Shelley? Yeah. When they're becoming commonplace among the animals with two legs, okay? That's when in certain segments of these people, I don't even want to call them people, they are savage. They are animals. They belong in a jungle. And actually, I would vote for that. I would support that. Putting them literally in the jungle, somewhere in the Sahara, and letting them literally fight with the elephants and the boars and all the wild animals out there, because this is nothing short of savagery. I hope they find these people, and I hope they prosecute them for attempted murder, not just assault, not just injury or whatever, attempted murder. I hope those victims are surviving or will survive their injuries. When I did a quick search, every newspaper or article that came up, not one of them mentioned that most of the people that I saw who were assaulting were black. Most of them. They didn't mention that they called it a fight or a violent fight or a group, group of people fight. They never even broached the race subject. But had it been reversed, that's all we will be hearing on the 24/7 news cycle. We will be hearing how some black person was attacked by a group of white people. That's all we will hear if it was reversed. These people need to be hung up somewhere by their testicles and by their boobs, if you will. I mean, it's unsettling just on a human form. I mean, people literally, you can die from hitting the pavement that hard from a fall. And unfortunately, many elderly people do it just because of their advanced age and other problems. A fall can literally take you out. These people knocked people over, sucker punched them down, they hit the concrete, and it was a third victim. It was a third man. I think on a later video, I think he was trying to help them, and he was just sucker punched. This is savage. It's just savage. It's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole, how can we have justice when there's no fear of judgment?
Gina, you sound like Vivek. Like Kate came out with his statement. As we all know, he's running for governor of Ohio, and he called it for what it was. It's a hate crime. This is not a street brawl. This is not, as the Dems are in Cincinnati are trying to spin it now, too much alcohol. It's none of that. What this is dereliction of duty. There should have been police on the scene. 2 blocks over, there were more than 10,000 people at a music festival. They didn't think people were going to walk over and have a drink on their main drag. They didn't think that. That didn't cross their minds. Or could it be that their zeal to defund the police? They should have at least sent a damn social worker so somebody could talk to the angry people when they were beating each other to death. From a violent standpoint, this was gross. This was disgusting. Watching another human being step on another human being's head, a grown man sucker punch a woman, then try to come over and rouse her back. All of this is really, really disheartening. But what really broke my heart is only one person called 911. Out of the hundreds of people who were out there, out of all the different camera views that we get to see splashed across TikTok and YouTube, while they were filming, no one bothered to call 911, to break it up, to send an ambulance to help these people. There's something that's happening in our cities where people are absolutely depraved, and it's okay. It's okay, city leadership. And to hear the vice mayor say, well, you don't judge us by this. Oh, you bet you're a sweet bottom we're going to judge you by this, honey girl. It is everything we're going to talk about. Everything we're going to talk about. There's a reason why people don't go downtown for dinner anymore. There's a reason why people don't take their children downtown to see monuments and parks anymore. It's because these places have become so lawless. And you have to get beat up first before the police intervene. You have to be stomped on the head and have someone else drive you to a hospital before you get any attention. And then it took several days before the mayor said anything. Anything. Their members of Congress are saying, what the hell? We're not these people. Well, guess what? You are these people. Because these weren't children. These were adults. These were adults. It's absolutely disgusting. The one moment of levity in this whole entire thing is watching the mainstream news media stumble over how to say Vivek's name, even though we all know it's Vivek like cake. They butchered it, but he said the right thing. He said this cannot continue to happen. We need policing there. This was a massive public event. Where were the police? Where were they? There should have been ambulances standing by. And the Democrats are saying, well, we're going to have to take a look at the bars and see how much alcohol they serve. What the hell? What? Yes. They're concerned about writing citations to bar owners. Shelley's right. There's something wrong with these people, and alcohol ain't the problem. They were this way before the alcohol got involved.
Firstly, I say when we abandon God, destroy the nuclear family, glorify lawlessness, and attack police, we create a generation with no boundaries and no fear of consequences. But ladies, I want to ask you, I'm just going to ask you a tough question. I'm going to ask you an honest question. We have seen these types of videos. We've seen multiple these types of videos all over social media. We're here in Maryland, and many of us hail from Baltimore City. And many of the videos that we see like this are black folk. Black folk acting a fool, violent. All of this stuff we see constantly. And I want to ask you, is this a black thing? Or is it the media pushing this out, making us believe that these are the most of these types of incidents occur with black people?
Okay.
And if it is a black thing, what's going on?
Okay. I'm going to give you my honest, never to be humble opinion. I'm going to say yes or no. I'm going to say yes. Does that mean that other ethnicities don't have crime and thuggery and a lower class level? If you put the deviant groups in there, no, it doesn't mean they don't have them. But what we're seeing here, I was talking to this today with someone. I always say to you, KJ, something's wrong with us. Something's wrong with us, particularly since the 1960s. Something has gone wrong with black people in general. Of course, there's going to be, instances, and not everyone, but in general, we have lost a sense of God and having that moral framework, if you will. We have lost a sense of community, family, all of these things. And many of them, some of them may have been systemic, of course, coming out of slavery, yes. But many of them, since the 60s, since we were given, if you will, all of this welfare, the social entitlements, we were taken or made to feel that we were so needy that we needed other people to take care of us. I'm sorry, I'm starting to realize or to maybe accept that when we were separated during the Jim Crow era, that may have been a good thing for black people because we knew how to act at the very least. I'm not saying racism and slavery and Jim Crow in and of itself was a good thing from a government perspective, but as far as culturally, and we knew how to act in general, we were much better at it. We did much better. We acted much better. We were learning. We were thriving economically. We were on the upward trend, if you will. So there were some positives, if you will, from us being separated. Again, not saying that the government should sanction it. I'm talking about from a culture in that sense. But now, today, we have literally lost our minds. We have lost our souls in a way.
Yeah, Nicole, same question.
Wow. I mean, she got some good points there, but let me show you what happened with the latest with this. What this young man did out of Dayton. Shout out to
all right. Peace and blessings, all praises due to the Most High. And there's some more information coming out of Cincinnati in response to what they are calling the Cincinnati Brawl. A 30-year-old white man, this guy right here, Scott Hanna, this carrot top, redhead alfalfa on thin mouth looking guy, he has been arrested Friday on the charges of trying to organize a mob to kill 30,000 blacks in Cincinnati. He made a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, as you're going to see in a few minutes. But I'm going to also show you two separate news articles that highlight, once again, even though this guy threatened in public to commit a hate crime, that the media is still protecting him in some regards. And also I asked, where is all of the outrage that was shown when the black people responded to that attack? Where is all the outrage to this? Why is there not a big media conference about this federal arrest of a guy with a documented history of violence, planning, organizing publicly to commit a hate crime? Just watch this. And I'm going to have to censor the fight because they keep flagging the videos that show the fight. And also I am playing this video in fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just check this out.
Here, 5 FBI agents arrested in Miami Township and accused of threatening to kill tens of thousands of people in Cincinnati. Center 7's Mike Campbell is live downtown. Mike, you were in federal court as the suspect faced a judge this afternoon.
And James, FBI agents say that Hannah actually posted his threats on X, formerly Twitter, and they say his posts seem to be in reference to a recent viral video out of Cincinnati where a large group of people appeared to target a couple for assault. Now, Hannah's post actually promoted even more violence. It appeared racially motivated, and it landed him here in federal court. Our cameras are not allowed in federal court, but I was inside for the hearing. Scott Hannah is charged with one count of making an interstate threat with intent to harm. Cincinnati learned of the post Thursday and asked the FBI to help track down the person responsible. Many lawmakers on all levels condemned the attack, but Hannah's Thursday posting suggested deadly violence and is even more disturbing. He wrote, "Since at Governor Mike DeWine and at OSHP won't do anything about this nonsense, we the people need to paint the town red and kill them all. By Sunday, we are aiming to have killed 30,000. FBI agents tracked Hannah to a Dayton suburb and arrested him, booking him into jail Friday morning. FBI agents wrote in court documents that they learned Hannah had police interaction last September where he threatened to cut a woman's head off. The agent went on to state that the same department had dealt with an earlier incident where Hannah swung a sword at the same woman's neck, resulting in physical injury. During one of those two incidents, Hannah became upset and screamed at officers using a racial slur." And back live here, the maximum penalty for a conviction in federal court on the charge that Hannah is facing would be 5 years behind bars. Now, we continue to dig into court records and police records about this late-breaking case. We right now believe that the local police agency the FBI was referencing in those court documents is the Miami Township Police Department. Reporting live in downtown Dayton, Mike Campbell.
All right. Once again, that video was used in fair use. Now, they just showed you a little bit of the post that he made, saying that we're going to paint the town red. We are going to organize to kill 30,000 blacks by Sunday. Now, it is Sunday today, and that was made on a public forum by a guy, once again, who swung an axe at a woman, called an officer a racial slur, but yet still he is not being charged with a hate crime. Now, just look at this other article that tells you what he has been charged with. Now, according to this article, FBI agents have arrested a Dayton man who allegedly posted on social media that he was organizing mobs to kill people in Cincinnati. According to documents, Cincinnati Police Department first reported a post on X from July 31st. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Force, a screenshot of the post shared in the complaint says the person was organizing mobs to kill all the apes in Cincinnati. Now let's stop it right there. Now you see, that is very racial. Everybody knows the racial comparison throughout the years to blacks and monkeys or apes. But if you go back to this post that they posted on the news article, it says, since Governor Mike DeWine and whatever won't do anything about this nonsense, we the people need to paint the town red and kill them all. ... Meaning they left some out. By Sunday, we are aiming to have killed 30K. But they are not mentioning the ape part. Now let me show you the original post. Now this right here is the full post. He said, organizing mobs to kill all the apes in Cincinnati since Governor Mike DeWine won't do anything about this nonsense. We the people need to paint the town red and kill them all. Fill the morgues and cleanse this city of blacks. By Sunday, we are aiming to have killed 30K. Now, why did that news article, that national news video, show the whole entire post? Once again, it left out killing the apes, cleansing the city of blacks. What do we always see? Even in Rome, even neglected by the white media. Just look at this again. There's no mention of organizing to kill all the apes, or there's no mention of cleansing the city of the blacks. They deliberately tried to whitewash and exclude the fact that this post was definitely racial. Even up there, they said FBI claims Cotton Hannah made the post. Now they're already giving him the reasonable doubt angle. But once again, this is an example of selective outrage. Now, all of you white people who have been in the comments, even got a call from a white guy yesterday, I want y'all to respond and condemn just as hard. Call this a tragedy, like they're calling that a tragedy. Nobody lost their life. Breonna Taylor was a tragedy. Sonya Massey was a tragedy. Sonya Bland was a tragedy. Corinne Gaines was a tragedy. And all the other black women who've been beaten up and killed by the police. Those are tragedies. This is an unfortunate incident where, from my understanding, the white woman tried to jump in their freight too. If you run out in rush hour traffic, you bound to get hit. You know, but I've received some, once again, some more information by somebody who was actually there. And I'm going to play that video of the conversation that we had earlier. We all seen Councilwoman Victoria Parks standing on business. I'm saying, look, they beg for it. You know, when there's a, once again, I think they arrested 4 more people, all of them black. And just like, you know, the Reverend said, which I want to play his video as well, why have we not seen that first attacker arrested? But there's so much more, once again, to this. This is a white man from Dayton, Ohio, charged with interstate communication or something. What was the charge? Let me read the charge again. He is charged with making interstate communication with a threat to injure. What is that? You know, how about a terroristic threat? How about a hate crime? How about an attempted murder of 30,000 counts? You know, once again, we see the whitewashing. Those people who were in the fight, they got $500,000 bonds. They're charged with inciting a riot, aggravating assault, like charges that will land them in jail for life. Now, this guy with the documented history, and anybody can tell looking at this guy, he's definitely capable of doing it. Like, once again, I always look at the eyes. Look at the depth and the evil in his eyes. Nobody can tell me nothing that this guy wouldn't, you know, pull that off if given the opportunity. So, once again, and it's
shout out to Richard Taylor Publishing. This is what this next guy said. The previous shout out to Pop and Politics for their video.
Montana's Merriweather, DeGuerra, Vernon, and Jermaine Matthews are all charged with felonious assault and aggravated riots. Prosecutors say Merriweather was the catalyst in what they call coordinated attack.
Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So most, if not all of you, have seen videos circulating of the epic beatdown of a couple of white individuals by a group of black men and women, right? And everybody's outraged about it. Now, according to the judge, 5 of those individuals have been charged. We now have new reports showing 3 of those individuals in court. You know, we have their description now because we have cameras on them. We have their names. We have a little bit of their criminal past, right? And the reporter's going to talk about a little bit of what's to come, what to expect next. So we're going to look at that report. But we're also going to look at 3 other things. We're going to look at what actually happened, right? Because there's still some confusion about, you know, like what started the whole thing. You know, who threw the first punch, that kind of thing. We're going to look at the lack of media coverage, which is concerning, and we're going to look at what everybody's debating about. Was it justified? So stick around. But before all that, I have a challenge. So I would like to reach 50 subscribers by the end of the month, which ends in a couple days. So if you like the video, please subscribe, please like it. I'd appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get to it.
A wild street brawl in downtown Cincinnati leads to multiple people charged, and this morning 3 suspects faced a judge. Now, that fight was caught by several cell phone cameras. It went viral, and it's now been viewed all over the world. WLWT News 5's Rachel Whalen joins us live from the Hamilton County Justice Center. She has the very latest on these charges. Good afternoon, Rachel. Good afternoon. 3 people, including one with a violent criminal past, now face felonious assault and aggravated riot charges after the chaotic fight downtown. While police say it was a coordinated attack, family members say there is more to the story. Montana's Meriwether, DeKira Vernon, and Jermaine Matthews are all charged with felonious assault and aggravated riots. Prosecutors say Meriwether was the catalyst in what they call coordinated attack. He was seen on video whispering to the victim just before the violence began. He was already out on bond for a separate gun and stolen property case. His bond was set at $500,000. Jermaine Matthews allegedly knocked a victim to the ground and hit another person. His attorney claims it started after the victim slapped him. Matthews was given a $100,000 bond, and DeKira Vernon is also accused of hitting a female victim and has an outstanding traffic warrant. Her bond was set at $200,000. Police say new surveillance video and viral social media videos are helping them piece together what happened, but family members of the accused say there is more to the story. Here's what Montana's Meriwether's mother had to say outside of court.
These Russians was walking down the street, and on the video he said, "You want to mess with these Russians?" And he smacked the first guy, you know. But it wasn't like they thugs. My child is in school. He had 5 kids. He's on the B honor roll in school, and he's not the thug that they put out in there to be.
Wait, no, hold on. No, let's rewind it back. And we're going to see what the reporter just said about this person's son.
Prosecutors say Meriwether was the catalyst in what they call coordinated attack. He was seen on video whispering to the victim just before the violence began. He was already out on bond for a separate gun and stolen property case.
So this cat was already out on bond for guns and stealing stuff. And you heard the prosecutor just said that he's the catalyst for the whole situation. Now, I don't know if that means that he was a catalyst for the whole beatdown situation, or he was a catalyst for the entire incident. Like, he started it from the beginning. You know, I know the Russian did what he did. If the person that these Russians were, walking down the street, saying, I'm Russian, do you want to mess with a Russian? I don't know if that's true or not. I know a lot of people saying that. I haven't seen on video yet. Let me know in the comments if you've seen that on video where, these guys were walking around saying, I'm Russian. Because it looked like one other dude was trying to break up the whole thing. The guy that was with him. I don't know if he was with him or not, but I'm going to assume that he was with him because he got beat with him, right? But to say that your son is not a thug and a B honor roll, is that a thing now? B honor roll? Back in my day, honor roll was A. Right. It's honor. A plus, right? A to A plus. Right. I don't know, that must be like some of those new age things. And is he in high school? I don't understand. If he's in high school, because honor roll was high school. Like, we didn't have an honor roll in college. We had a dean's list in college. But is the guy in high school? So alright, if say he is in high school, he has 5 kids, gun charges, stealing stuff, and the catalyst for this incident. And you said that your son is not the thug. You want to take up for your kids, but I mean, in this situation, no. Like, your son did some stuff wrong, in the past and now. And where's the accountability, right? Where's the accountability? Why do parents like this, when their kids do something bad, when out there committing crimes, kill somebody, hurt somebody, they're a good person. they're a good person. Deep down inside, they might be a good person, but you know, good people do good things. This wasn't good. This situation, what he did, it wasn't good. But you know, I rest my case, man. Let's get back to the video.
If you remember, Chief Terry Fiji said that anyone who used their hands to intend harm will be facing consequences no matter what side of the fight. So we will be looking out for more arrests and continue to keep you updated. These suspects are due in court again next month. I'm reporting outside the Justice Center. Rachel Whalen, WLWT News 5.
So there's a lot of confusion about what led to this epic beatdown. Was it just a bunch of black people just walking around looking for trouble? You know, did somebody say something? You know, did somebody look at somebody the wrong way? Now, the initial videos that came out, it showed just, you know, a bunch of black people stumping this white dude and one black dude knocking this lady out that didn't even look like she was in the fight, or she had her back turned or something, knocked her cold out, and somebody had to go check on her. That's all you saw, right? And everybody's outraged about it. You know, the news and everybody's just outraged about it. You know, people online saying all these things, you know, black thugs, and you know, they just like to walk around in groups and mob everybody, and you know, always the same, you know, kind of individuals. A bunch of black people just love violence, right? But later it was exposed that, or you know, it was clarified. So they showed the very first part of the video, which I'm going to show you right here. And some of you have seen that, some of you haven't. But if this was the genesis of the beatdown, you see the white Russian slap the black guy. And then after that, all pandemonium happened. And I say that to say this. This is the point of why I wanted to bring this part up, this portion up. You have to be careful about judging a situation before getting the whole story. And the media likes to do this. You know, you'll see media stories and they'll show videos of events that happen, but they only show a portion of it, right? The part that only benefits their views, or you know, like physical views, people watching, or political views, right? And you see a lot of this in liberal media, CNN, MSNBC. You know, they like to tell just part of the story and not, you know, tell the whole story. A picture is worth 1,000 words, they say. You guys know this, you know? And they'll have these videos come out, you know, body cam videos, or you know, store front videos, or rain camera videos, whatever. And they'll only show the part that, again, benefits them in terms of views and political views and whatever. The media has two goals, and I want you guys to remember this. The media has two goals: to make you angry or to make you afraid. Right? And we saw this. We saw this happen. We see this happen so much. The portions you saw of this video when it first came out only showed, you know, a bunch of violent black people stomping some white guy, right? And a lady being punched out. You know, that makes people angry, does it not? You know, it goes with whatever narrative they have. So when you see these videos, please, for the love of goodness, always question it. Is this the entire video?
Right.
Like, what's more to the story?
Right.
Some, you know, most times,
right.
and I say most, there's something more to the story that the news isn't showing.
Right.
So before you react, before you start judging stuff, because they almost got me, stop, question whether or not this is the whole story. Before you react to it, just give it a couple days for the story to come out, the entire thing to come out, or go do your own research. Do your own research about whatever event that you're interested in, you know, that's hot at the time, and find out if this is the whole story. All right, the second thing I want to address is the lack of media coverage. Now, here we go again, where you have an incident with a bunch of violent black people stopping a guy in the middle of the street, and one guy punching this lady out, this white lady out, one black guy punching this white lady out, and you don't hear anything from liberal media, hardly anything. CNN, I didn't see full coverage. I don't think I've seen any coverage. MSNBC, I haven't seen anything from them. And several of the other liberal media outlets. And I'm going to tell you why that is. When an event happened, no matter how bad it is, goes against whatever narrative they support, those liberal media support, they won't show it. They won't show it. Because it fights against what they've been pushing, the narrative they've been pushing. And I think that's despicable. Because as a media outlet, you need to tell the people everything. You have an obligation to tell people the truth, the full truth. People are relying on you to know the information, know what's going on in the world. That's why you exist. And when you pick and choose stories, no matter how dangerous it is, you pick and choose what you want to show. I mean, that's not, is that journalistic integrity? Somebody tell me in the comments, is that what they call journalistic integrity? Because I don't see any integrity in that, right? I think that's just despicable, and I think people need to call them out on it, and some have, right? The problem is so many people believe CNN, NBC, and all these other media organizations because they're bigger, they're huge. They cover multiple countries, multiple states. Everybody's always tuning in. Let me see what CNN had to say about it. Let me see what MSNBC had to say about it. But they take everything that they say at face value. Do not take everything that CNN says or MSNBC at face value. Do not take it at face value. If you want to listen to a story, go ahead and listen to it, but then do your own research to find the whole story, because more times than not, it's not what they say it is, or their interpretation is different than the actual truth. Alright, now the big burning question that everybody have on their mind, was this beatdown justified? There was a time when there would be an altercation, two people would, just, be beefing, right? Some kind of altercation. One person is getting a little bit too close to the other person, right? Getting in his face. One person would throw a punch. The other person would hit back. People would keep hitting each other until one stopped, and then that was it. Or one person get hit, the other person get hit, and be like, you know what? I don't want to fight today. I don't have time for this. I already see where this is going. I'm just going to walk away. Apparently that's not a thing anymore, because what happened in Cincinnati was it was disgusting. It was disgusting. To have a group of people beating this guy on the ground, bloodied and everything, kicking him in the head, stomping him, is probably one of the most cowardly and despicable things that I've seen in a long time. In a long time. Because the guy wasn't fighting back. He was actually trying to get out of there. Every one of those people need to go to jail. All of them. And that one person that knocked out that lady, that's that one coward that knocked out that lady that wasn't even looking, he needs to go to prison.
Right.
For a long time.
Right.
Okay? And look, the white Russian guy, the first one that, that slapped the black dude, when he gets out of the hospital, he needs to go to jail too. Because you don't go around putting your hands on people.
Right.
Let people talk all they want. People talk all day. They talk crap all day. normally it's the ones that are the weakest. They're the ones that talk.
Right.
You know, especially if they're with their buddies.
Right.
You know, they can talk all day, talk crap all day. Unless that person presents a direct and immediate threat to you, you don't need to be putting your hands on them. You know, he brought this on himself. He could have walked away. You saw the one guy in the middle trying to break him up.
Right.
Like, he could have walked away the whole time. And this whole thing could have been prevented. But he wanted to keep pushing it. He wanted to stay there and argue with this guy. And then you put your hands on him. Now, did that one slap warrant this guy almost getting beat to death? No, not at all. It was a bunch of, you know, violent black people. You know, we know this stuff happened in the hood. It's been happening for decades. You know, it happened where I grew up. You know, just everybody want to jump everybody, right?
Right.
You know, you get one person, you got 20 people on one person. You know, now you got all these people jumping this guy, stomping on this guy in the middle of the street. You know, these violent, apparently criminals that's jumping this guy, in the middle of the street. And it makes, I said this before in my last video, it makes everybody look bad. It makes all of us look bad. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for white, it's not good for blacks. It's not good for our reputation. We shouldn't be seen as the violent race, because everybody says it. That blacks are violent. No impulse control, and largely that's true. But it's really bad for our reputation. It's because everybody's not like that. All black people ain't like that. We're not down with that at all. We fight against that. That's why I think, and I keep saying this, that black people need to start speaking up against black people that do these kind of things.
And that's what happens.
Saying like, hey, that's not cool. There needs to be an element of shame brought back to the community, because we just have it's just black people out of control now. Carnival cruises, twerking in the middle of the street on police cars, and now we have this. All right, but look, tell me what you think in the comments. If you guys got
he made a couple good points there, definitely towards the end. I definitely agree with that. And like I said, the Russian guy should be charged just as well, because he caused himself getting, beat down, and he caused the woman. She would have to come in and try to get herself knocked out, so to speak. And so he put not only himself, but I don't know if that was his girlfriend, his wife, or his friend, in danger, because it was his ego, that his ego was going to rouse up, and I think the alcohol in him did that. Now, for the young man that made the threat to Cincinnati, if he go to jail, end up going to prison, he better get some protection, because a lot of them prisoners come from Cincinnati and Dayton, and they get whiff of him, what he said. He was the one that wrote that. He better hope that he has a white nationalist gang to back him up, or the correctional center, if he end up going to prison. So you're going to have to put him in protection custody, because people take that very seriously. Remember that situation with Dylan Ruth that shot them people in South Carolina? Well, guess what? He thought he was big and bad. Well, he got beat down bad behind bars. They put him in the infirmary, and someone paid and then there was a bunch of black people that paid on the commissary on that guy who beat him up bad. Did a number on him. Jeffrey Dahmer, when he did what he did, beat him up bad. So the moral of the story is, if you put out a violent beat, it's gonna come back around you. if you come act someone violently because you think you're tough and you talk all this smack, see, people that talk all that stuff, when it comes down to it, it ain't gonna look too good. And so even though Dylan Root, and he didn't get to do some young people, he got some elders and older people. And that's what he did, and that's what a couple of them did, the same thing, trying to come at us. You see what happened up in Buffalo. Now I don't know what's gonna happen to that young man in Buffalo, New York, when he gets behind what's going on behind the bars. But he better be in protection, because if he go out there in the population, and them prisoners who are black get to him, oh, it's gonna be some problems. See, what people don't realize is that it's one thing to be angry, and everybody's angry about it. But it's one thing you take that anger and say, well I'm going to step up too, and just. I mean, I see situations that happen to black people, but and it makes you kind of angry. It's understandable, like what happened with the truck driver. Somebody probably want to go in there and knock a couple of them guys across the head, but you don't do that. There's a civilized way we handle stuff, and as people, we got, but you don't have to bring out the threat unless the threat comes to you. This is what I learned from defense class. Let somebody, if you get into a heated argument, is to try to diffuse the situation. People don't know how to diffuse a situation no more, and so it puts other people in danger, because anger, hatred leads to the next thing, unalive somebody, and somebody's going to end up doing time. And it's only fair, and it's bring up some deep racial animosity, because if you look at the history in Cincinnati, they had racial riots, something like that would happen for centuries down there, since this town was founded. It's like, and then you figure that, and I remember a white guy said this online one time, that Kentucky was the Dixie line. And he was explaining how the way that river, when it crossed that river, a lot of those people came over from that time. And that spirit of down there, he said that part of northern Kentucky and Cincinnati have always been a hotbed for racial issues down there. In that part of Ohio. It's all over the United States, don't get me wrong. But it's always been like a heavy racial element down there. And I was like, wow, man. And like, Louisville, Kentucky is the same way. Down by Louisville, Kentucky is a hot racial, there was racial incidents there. So a lot of these cities that you see, areas that when the crowds like this happen, this just didn't happen. It's been happening the whole time. It's the history. That's why I mentioned everything goes in cycles. And when I was down there was a riot because of what happened with the police officer that shot Timothy Thomas down there in early 2000. It was a riot. They didn't jump on the people, or the white people. It was jumping on. They want to get at the police. They was angry at the police down there. And it was the next incident with the Rodney Hinton thing. So it's with the sheriff deputy and getting ran over, unfortunately losing his life, and his son lost his Hinton son. He lost his life, and there was a situation with that, and it was totally, one was the police department, one was the sheriff department, but his father just saw law enforcement, but he acted, even though he's angry, but irrationally taking out an innocent person wasn't the right thing to do. But what they said is true, is that we have gone a long way of thinking that this is the way we're going to get our respect, is to put fear. Fear can only go so long. But the respect, but you can respect people, don't mean you have to pull a gun and ball a fist. Sometimes your words can get someone's attention, and your actions in a logical, logistic way do things. And I think that's what black people need to do. Don't move violently. It's not going to end well. And that's with any group of people. No matter what they say, I mean, just because someone calls you a name, that name don't apply to you. Whatever it was, we used to say in kids, whatever you say bounce back on you. And I know we all struggle with someone that called us a name. Sometimes other people, same people, look like you call your name, but it don't mean that you have to take the name. These some low vibrational people who use racial term. They're low vibrational. They're not even, and they do that as a sign of trying to get you to irk you to do something. So, but yeah, the man was completely wrong for slapping the man. But like he said, he didn't deserve to get a beat down from that. But but it was the Russians man who put his friends and himself in danger. You don't do stuff like that. But you know, like most people, their alcohol and their ego was think I can take on these guys. I fought when I was back in Russia, whatever. Well, this ain't Russia, bro. You know. Sometimes, let me put it this way: you're not always. You might beat somebody one time, but you might not. When you have a whole crowd of people coming at you, you're not Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? You can't take out everybody and take that many hits. And that's anybody. You got a gang of people coming at you. So the best thing to do is just, hey, shit, listen to his friend. Let's get up out of here. But anyway. And he got hit, the lady uninjured. And yeah, and I agree with everybody. That guy who hit the woman should be locked up automatically. He should do some time. Because he could have killed that one. Well, we could have unlocked that woman. Oops, sorry. I agree with that. With everybody on that one. We agree. Because she was innocent. I mean, even if she was as a woman, sometimes women should stay out of a situation, but I understand that was somebody she was with. But in a heated situation like that, you have to really use your head. Unless you got to diffuse the situation, and there were people were trying to diffuse it, but he caused his own demise on the street. If he just walked away, like they said. And the women had the point about, as black, we as a generation that we need to get back to where shame need to come back, because this is some of us as a race have gotten out of order, and that's what that's what it is. And so hopefully whatever turns out, but you see what turns out, no matter what you look at it. Now you got some renegade that think that he wants that. Good thing the FBI caught him, because he's going to do some renegade stuff and try to irk and stir something up. And now you're seeing across the country, all these people are going off the bench, and not just going after innocent people that don't look like them, but these last 3 or 4 shootings that I seen online and on news, that the Montana and to the Tennessee and these other places, these are people going out their mind. So violence. So you have to be wise on whoever holds the gun, or who's ever unstable up here. So I hope you like and subscribe to their videos, or like and share this video. It's not gonna solve anything. It's gonna lead one thing gonna lead to another. The best way to beat somebody, do it by economically and do it by the courts. That's the way you beat them. All right then. So you guys take it easy, be careful, and if you're ever in a situation like that, try to diffuse it. Don't try to be a muscle man, an ego man in front of anybody. You have nothing to prove, because out here, this world is crazy and it's dangerous. People are just off the wall. They are demonic. And That's why, you know, you have to be careful when you go in the crowds and what kind of people you go around. So be careful when you go out at nighttime. And if you get someone, if you got somebody, kind of calm them down on influence so they don't end up in a situation like this. Take care. Be blessed. See you on the next video.